Here's button 25 here, watching launch of the Minotaur-C with Skysat. There we go.
Hello, and welcome to Minotaur Mission Control, live from Vandenberg Air Force Base,
First
California.
Minotaur-C launch, actually.
I'm Sean
This is a
Wilson, Director
rebranded
of Corporate
Taurus.
Communications for Orbital ATK. Today we are set to launch 10 Earth observation satellites aboard a Minotaur-C rocket for Planet. You're
That's
looking at a live
Minotaur-C.
shot of Space Launch Complex 576E and the Minotaur-C rocket that will boost the satellites into orbit. Today's targeted launch time is 2:37 p.m. Pacific Time. These launches are managed by the U.S. Air Force's 30th Space Wing, commanded by Colonel Michael Huff.
By the way, I
Joining
think
me
this is
now
an
is Colonel
all-SLB
Michael
launch.
Huff. Hi, Colonel. Thanks for being here today.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Great. So, what is the mission of the 30th Space Wing?
So our mission is to provide indispensable launch, landing, and range capabilities to our nation.
Well, great. So, what does this mission mean to you today?
Well, any mission, anytime we have a launch, it's very exciting for the wing. This one in particular, I think since the last time that we had an orbital ATK launch from Vandenberg was 2011. So this mission is exciting because it's been a while, and we're launching from a pad that we haven't used in quite a long time. So we've been able to get really the whole wing involved. Usually, it's just our launch group or our ops group kind of involved in the launches. And this one in particular, we've been able to get our CE to get the pad ready, our civil engineers, our security, set up new checkpoints to make sure we don't have people back there, and safety's involved as well. So it's a whole wing operation.
Well, that's great. We're happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
So thanks so much for being with us today. We're looking forward to a good launch.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to a good launch as well.
Okay, appreciate it.
Okay, so far the Taurus/Minotaur-C has been rebranded. It's had 9 launches, of which 6 were successes and 3 were failures. And it's based on the Pegasus launch vehicle. 4-stage all solid. Yeah, solid. Yep. The list of launches were... Give me a second. It was... First one was on March 13th. All of them were from this pad. So March 13th, 1994. It was launched... Also, this, back then, you can see there, I'm pretty sure that was the Atlas silo, so this was just placed
The
there.
weather will play an important role in making today's launch window. So let's get a weather update from Captain Jennifer Hayden from the 30th Space Wing. So how's the forecast looking for today's launch?
Well, the forecast is looking very favorable for launch today. We are currently green for both the launch agency and range safety constraints, and we're assessing
that's
a
good.
0% probability of violation, or POV, for T0 itself, with no areas of concern at this time.
At 0%, that's a pretty high probability.
Yes.
That's great. We're always happy to have launch windows like that.
Absolutely.
So if anything changes, make sure you come back and keep us updated.
Absolutely, we will.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
And the second launch was on February 10th, 1998, carrying a GFO and orb column, satellites 11 and 12. But first mission was the Step Mission 0. The one after that was, at this point, these are all successes. October 3rd, 1998, which was an Air Force Taurus, carrying the space technology experiment for the NRO. And the next one was December 21st, 1999, which was carrying ComSat and a CrimSat. Then it was March 12th, 2000. This was Flight 5. A 63 day ferry peacekeeper sitting there.
You're watching live mission coverage of the Minotaur-C launch of the Skysat and Dove Earth observation satellites for Planet. We are on schedule for launch today at 2:37 p.m. Pacific Time. With me now is Trina Patterson, Senior Communications Manager for Orbital ATK's Launch Vehicles Division. Hey Trina, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
So where do we stand now in the mission timeline?
So right now the count is proceeding. Adam Lewis, our launch conductor, is going through the pre-launch checklist, and everything's right on schedule for launch.
Well, that's great. Great to hear. So mission coverage will continue through the insertion phase of the spacecraft into their final orbits, approximately 20 minutes after liftoff. You can also follow today's mission on Twitter at Orbital ATK or at Planet Labs using the hashtag Minotaur-C. We're about 15 minutes from liftoff now. The next major event in the timeline will occur at L-13 minutes when we'll enter a built-in 5-minute hold on the countdown clock. So Trina, anyone that knows you and I knows that we both live for rocket launches like this.
We do. This is like our favorite day at work. And this launch has been really exciting because we've had a really neat customer and Planet. They've been just fun to work with, so we look forward to launching for them today.
So tell me a little bit about the rocket itself.
Absolutely. So today's mission is our second Minotaur vehicle to launch within 2 months of each other. The last one launched from Florida. This one's from California. We can see here that there are 5 different Minotaur vehicles in the fleet. Minotaur-C is the tall, skinny one, second to the right in the graphic. While our other Minotaur rockets uses decommissioned ICBMs in their first stages, Minotaur-C uses commercially available orbital ATK rockets in all their stages, hence why we call it Minotaur-C. The C is for commercial. So
Just for
this
the
is a
Minotaur
4-stage
6.
rocket. We have a 0 stage, a stage 1, a stage 2, and a stage 3. I'll explain the 0 stage when we look at some animation later on in the broadcast.
Okay, thanks, Trina. We're less than 14 minutes from liftoff now, and we're about to enter the 5-minute hold period.
You can see the strange shape of the fairing. Also, the Minotaur 6, yeah, there was a reason it looked unfamiliar to me. It doesn't exist. So it was just a concept study, from what I can tell. Minotaur 1.
And launch team, I can confirm. T-clock is holding at T-minus 8 minutes. We're currently in our final planned 5-minute hold.
This is Minotaur Mission Control, and we are now less than 13 minutes from liftoff. So Trina, I understand you have some animation to show us of today's mission.
I do, and obviously this isn't real time, but it'll give a good sense of what's going to happen today during the mission. So at liftoff, the ground stage motor will ignite, boosting the rocket from Slick 576 here at Vandenberg Air Force Base. The ground stage, which for this vehicle we actually refer to as a 0 stage during the mission. So at liftoff, the ground stage motor will ignite, boosting the rocket from Slick 576 here at Vandenberg Air Force Base. The ground
Is she
stage,
repeating herself?
stage 1 then burns for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Stage 1 separates and then 200 miles downrange. After that, the payload fairing, which protects the spacecraft during the rocket's ascent, is jettisoned. The second stage burns out about 4 minutes into the mission, and at a little over 5 minutes into flight, jettisoned.
I'm going to pause the video until the actual launch.
The second stage burns out about 4 minutes into the
Right, let's see if this can keep going at a decent pace. That seems to count.
L-1011, which we call Stargazer.
There we go. Seems to work
Pegasus
now.
was the world's first commercially developed rocket, which had its debut in 1990. Since then, we have conducted 43 Pegasus missions from 6 different launch sites around the world. For Minotaur-C, we add that 0 stage in place of the Stargazer L-1011 to make it a ground-launched rocket. So first, the satellites are mated to the payload adapter and enclosed in the fairing. They are then
We
mated
didn't
to the
really miss
rocket's
anything,
upper
just
stage
that
and
we got
transported from the
vehicle
processing
got clearance
facility
or
down
permission
to
to
the
launch
launch
and all
site,
that.
which is what we see happening right here. Now this launch pad may look a little bare to some. It has no gantry, so the 0 stage is stacked on the launch still using commercial cranes, and then we lift the upper stack into place. So Minotaur-C was designed just like Pegasus to launch quickly from almost anywhere in the world with minimal launch support equipment.
And there you can see that. Jeremy was commenting on how bare bones that launch pad was. Although it almost looks like the Apollo milk stool.
Final countdown has resumed at T-minus 8 minutes. RCO LC countdown 1, step 152. Begin C-band interrogation.
LC, RCO.
This is Minotaur Mission Control. As you just heard, the countdown clock has resumed, and we are go for launch in about 7.5 minutes. So today's launch is for Planet, one of the innovative new space companies in the Earth imaging industry. We have a video about Planet, so let's watch.
No, I should see if I think this is. Cue another pause.
Mark.
L minus
We
10,
got 10,
9,
10 seconds away from
8,
launch. Yes, 10
7,
minutes.
6, 5,
I'm sorry you have to
4,
put up with that back
3,
bottom now, but
2,
1.
1. Liftoff
Ignition and liftoff.
of Minotaur-C carrying the Skysat and Dove satellites for Planet.
Give us a quick.
Nominal. Attitude
There you go.
remains nominal as the Capture 120 Stage 0 motor propels the 104-foot tall Minotaur-C vehicle.
I think it's
away from
leaning
Vandenberg
over
Air
quite
Force Base.
viciously. It's also accelerating considerably quicker than other launch vehicles, but that's just simply because it's
Stage
smaller.
0 motor pressure is nominal. Attitude remains nominal.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch this, it seems. The acceleration seems to be fairly
Stage
constant
0
after you had
TVA
that
performs
initial
nominally to control the flight of the vehicle.
ramp up. I presume the way this works is it has some kind of clamps at the bottom that would release once the
Vehicle
thrust is
is
enough
past
to
max
lift
altitude,
the
attitude
vehicle up.
remains nominal.
I think, I don't know.
Now approximately 50 seconds into the Minotaur-C mission for Planet to place 6 Skysat and 4 Dove spacecraft into a sun-synchronous orbit.
60 seconds. I'm trying to remember what they said when does stage 0 separate.
Attitude remains nominal, coming up on Stage 1 TVA pressurization. Stage 1 TVA has been pressurized. Stage 0 is burned out.
Okay. Separation and ignition, you could see the you
Stage
could
0 separation.
just barely see like a little cloud.
Stage 1 has ignited and attitude is nominal. Stage 1 TVA is
See
nominal
the,
and
like
controlling
the
the flight of
fumes, the
vehicle.
exhaust from the stage 1 tip kind of going around
Power
stage
buses
0.
remain strong at 100 seconds into the mission.
This is a really weird looking rocket. Yeah, you can see the cutoff of acceleration there. You see it didn't fully
Now 2 minutes into
oh, well,
the
that is,
Minotaur-C
yeah, so it
mission
did.
for Planet.
very near to fully this
Attitude
bit.
remains
You can see
nominal
this is
as
a
the
much
vehicle
longer
passes
kind of
100
acceleration, although that
kilometers.
could just be the vehicle kind of losing propellant. Again, this is an SRB which can be specially shaped to kind of ramp up and down depending on the hole in the middle.
And we have lost telemetry in the center.
You've lost
We have negative telemetry in the center.
Do we have a lost vehicle? I mean, the previous 2 missions of the Taurus have been failures. Seems frozen.
Clean SPM. But yes, we still have lock on range data.
Okay, so it seems the vehicle hasn't been lost, just telemetry. Which means this is frozen.
Yes, so we have in work.
Okay. That's interesting.
And ROC, this is vehicle on countdown 1. We have negative telemetry in the center here at building 836. Was just hoping you could confirm the track of the vehicle via radar.
This telemetry is gone. Radar is the only thing we have. That's not normal. To any of you whose first launch says that's not normal.
This is vehicle on countdown 1. We have recovered telemetry in the center. We are
Okay,
now
good.
30 seconds into the flight.
Guess I presume this will...
Attitude remains
Mhm.
nominal, and we're in stage 2 burn.
Okay, so stage separation has
Stage
occurred.
2 burnout. Vehicle energy state is good.
As a
Fairing has separated. I repeat, the fairing is confirmed to have separated and fully deployed.
okay, hold on, this is just stopped working for me a bit. Give me a second.
For the vehicle altitude to reach our orbit injection point of approximately 500 kilometers.
Okay, guys, it seems telemetry has been regained at the end of all the burns. We still have one final burn remaining. That will occur at apogee. So I think I'll pause until then. Okay, well, apparently they've ignited the upper stage. Not all that long ago, though. However, they haven't mentioned up until this point.
Attitude remains nominal during stage 3 burn, and it appears that we have gone over the radio horizon and lost telemetry for the last time on the mission.
Third time. Now then. Thing is, I'm not sure if this is my thing being a bit of a... No, it's not my thing being an ass. Alright, because you can see the little socket thing on the bottom vibrating. So I honestly don't know what's going on. Get better coverage, Orbital. Come on. Put up.
And this is
Bonus
vehicle
page.
on the
Oh, launch
countdown
pad.
net. The data that we're seeing now in the center is a simulation of the predicted activities of the vehicle. So although the vehicle is over the horizon and we have no telemetry coverage, this graphic will allow us to continue to watch the expected events as they unfold. Vehicle at this time would be in orbit and preparing for deployment of the 6 Skysat spacecraft.
We are about 2 minutes from the main event, the deployment of the Skysat satellites. With me again is Trina Patterson. So Trina, where are we? Give us a little update on where we are.
So the vehicle has actually traveled over the horizon. So what you are seeing now is simulation. So if you remember from the animation earlier in the show, prior to launch, the first 4 satellites will deploy about 20 seconds from each other. And again, these are the Planet Skysat satellites. And then the vehicle will make that 90-degree turn and release that payload adapter. And that just gets it away from the orbit of the satellite, so there's no collision.
So they would have jettisoned.
And once
Could
that's
just
been
jettison
released
us.
away, the vehicle will turn back. And this happens about a minute later. And then those last 2 Skysat satellites are deployed. Approximately just a little over a minute, the 2 Dove satellites are deployed, followed by those last 2.
So in this video, these Dove CubeSats look pretty small. So about how big are they?
They're actually the size of a loaf of bread. They weigh 9 pounds, so they're fairly small. It's amazing what miniaturization of satellites has done to the technology.
So the maneuver that the vehicle does to deploy the satellites, is this common on most launches?
It is common when you're carrying multiple spacecraft like this.
Yeah,
so we're
Ariane
able
does it, I know that.
to have those dual levels to be able to support that.
And how do you turn the vehicle like that?
So we use very small thrusters to make those precise turns. If you notice, those turns are like in a minute and a half, so it's very important we get it into the right orbit. We also use those thrusters to back the vehicle away when we're done deploying all the satellites.
Okay, thanks, Trina. Let's listen in as Steve Hollow goes through the planned calls of the satellite deployment.
We're now approximately 20 seconds away from the expected deployment of the first Skysat spacecraft. First Skysat spacecraft would be deployed this time.
Okay. So one Skysat away. 20 seconds later, Skysat number 2.
Following spacecraft are all on 20-second intervals. Expected deployment of Skysat SS-12. Expected deployment of Skysat SS-11. Expected deployment of Skysat SS-10.
So I presume that's the final one.
Following deployment of the first 4 spacecraft.
So Sean, at this point in the mission, this is where we turn that vehicle. You can see those little thrusters too as it's moving. Again, this is a simulated of what we are projected to happen right now. And so we'll turn that, release that bulkhead. You'll hear the launch conductor call it the D path. They turn it away from the orbit of the satellites, and then we'll turn it back. Again, this is to avoid any collision with the satellites in their orbit.
Thanks, Trina. Let's listen in to Steve Hollow as he makes those calls.
Guess they separated that. So I'm correct, I need to pull that one Skysat and then the Dove satellites. Give me a second, I'm just going to refresh the page. Dang it.
Expected deployment of Skysat SS-9.
So 2 more. Alright. So these are buttons.
Expected deployment of Skysat SS-8. That's all 6 spacecraft expected to have been deployed. The vehicle is now reorienting itself in preparation for deployment of the first of 4 Dove spacecraft.
As you heard, the 6 Skysat satellites are now in orbit, and we await the deployment of the 4 Dove CubeSats. So, Trina, is it common to launch this many satellites on one rocket?
It is, Sean, to actually launch multiple payloads. In fact, on one of our Minotaur-4 rockets, we launched 20 satellites. And I just learned this week that Planet has launched 88 Dove satellites in one mission.
One mission?
One mission.
So if they've launched 88 in one mission, how many do they have total?
So they have manufactured 300 of them. They've launched 284. So today's mission will actually have 4 more to add to what they call the flock.
Wow, that's a lot. So let's listen in to the call of the Dove deployment.
Expected deployment of Doves 1 and 3. Vehicle is reorienting again for the deployment of Doves 2 and 4.
So the first 2 Dove satellites have deployed. The last 2 will be in orbit in about a minute and a half. Now these satellites, if you heard from Chester, they image the Earth constantly. The Dove satellites can go to about 3 meters pixels, so basically the size of a car. Get really good
Guess the
imaging
webcast
of
is
these
just
spacecrafts we're
not
launching
working.
today.
Thanks, Trina. Let's listen in as we do the deployment of the final 2 Dove sets.
I think you're not really into this that very much. So that was launch of the Minotaur-C carrying a couple of Skysat satellites. I don't know the names. I'm button 25. Goodbye.